Hello everybody, hope you guys are having a great day. Before we start, just want to remind you guys that I've been streaming mostly on Twitch right now, so if you haven't followed me, go follow me over there so you can join, hang out. It's Twitch at Rothenium. I'll leave a link in the description. So somebody asked in the comment section of my PC build, I believe, which is Ryzen 5900X with a GTX 1070, which is my old card. I'm going to swap it out in the future for a newer card, but as you probably know, Nvidia RTX 3080s, 3090s, 3070s, they're impossible to get right now. So he asked an interesting question. How does this card perform and how bad is the bottleneck? So this video will also apply to anyone building a 5900, 5800X or a 5950X build with a card that is not one of the newest cards. So yes, obviously the bottleneck is very real. You will see right now it's very real, okay? But does this mean that that card is just useless on this build? No. The card is performing really well, especially with overclocking. So I'm gonna run Heaven benchmark once without overclocking. I'll run it again with the card overclocked, and then I'll just jump into like some Call of Duty so you guys can see like some more practical uses of it. I'm going to be using NVENC encoder, so that way we won't affect the processor or the graphics card because it's a separate chip inside of the graphics card. And hopefully this will give you guys a good idea of how these cards are performing with this newer hardware. All right, so let me get my face cam out of here so it's not affecting the processor. Less things to actually process. There we go. You can see FPS top right, and you can see the graphics card temperature top right, 78. Now the graphics card is running kind of hot. This is a Founders Edition, so no surprise there. All right, I'm gonna run it now. Remember that this is without overclocking the graphics card. All right. So as you can see, the GPU is at 100% and the CPU is at 13%. But we're getting probably an average like 150 frames per second. This is on base settings, which would be high and no anti-aliasing. So yeah, let's just let the benchmark run its course, and we'll figure it out at the end. And then we'll try it again with the card overclocking. Then we'll go into the more practical ones. CPU temp, like look, the CPU is so comfortable right now. It's just using like 4 cores. All right, so on Heaven benchmark 4.0, we got 134 frames per second, and we got a score of 3,382. Minimum FPS 9.3, max FPS 280. All right, remember that overclocking is going to be different, and you're going to get different mileage depending on your specific card. But yeah, this is the overclocking profile for my card. So now let's run it with the overclocking, see how much of a difference it makes. I mean, right off the bat, we can see that the average FPS is up like 20 frames per second. Now remember, this is going to average out with the ones where it dips at more fine detail rendering, but still, this looks very favorable for the overclocking profile on this card. So yeah, again, I mean, you can't just copy the overclocking stuff. I'll link an overclocking guide for a GPU in the description, but it's fairly easy and it's safe, so you might as well. Again, you'll get different mileage out of overclocking each specific card. Some will be better, some will be worse, but it's worth doing, especially if you're running a card like this with one of these new Ryzen processors. You're going to get every drop of performance out of your hardware. And there we go. So I mean, look, right now we got like the score just went up, and this is why I recommend you guys overclock your cards, especially if you have an older card like a 1070 or even something older than this one. We got 165 average FPS. Now look at the minimum FPS. Let me get the other one up to compare because this is very interesting. There we go. I don't know what's blurry and horrible, but look. There's a difference between the 1070 overclocked, 1070 not overclocked. So right now, with the overclocked card, we got 165 FPS, a score of 4,164, minimum FPS of 48.9, and a max FPS of 335. Now, if we compare it to the previous one, which the only difference is that we weren't overclocking the card. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty substantial. We got 30 frame, around 30 yeah, we got around 30 FPS more on average. The score went up by a lot. Minimum FPS, instead of being 9, look at this dip. Instead of being 9, it went up to 48.9. And the max FPS went up from 280 to 335.6. So I think if there's anything to show here is that this car, like these, will shine much more if you can overclock them, especially with these processors. Again, you have to get lucky with your card to have a card that benefits from this overclocking, but regardless of how good it will overclock, it's still going to give you a benefit in frames per second. All right, so now let's do the exact same test that we did right now, but we'll do it with some Call of Duty Cold War. So I'll play one entire match without overclocking, one entire match with overclocking, and we'll see the difference. All right, close this. So again, we're using this game because, I mean, it's a game that just came out. I think it's a good test. This game runs better than Warzone, but yeah. Let's use it as a test. All right, so here we are. As you can tell, we're getting, I would say, between 70 and 80 FPS in this map, specific map. Obviously, depending on where you're looking at and what there is to render. Like, if I look at the sky, obviously, we're going to get, like, higher. Look, but that doesn't, like, we just want to see the average, right? Running around and stuff. Yeah, 70 frames per second, 65. It's between 60 and 70 right now, I'd say. 70. It goes up to 80 every once in a while. But yeah, if I had to, like, I think a fair assessment would be saying that we got like 70 FPS right now. I would say. Obviously, it's going to be changing. We're not going to get a consistent thing. Like, this is not a benchmark.
Done. Two kills confirmed.
Yeah, we're getting 80 FPS in this part. All right, so what, 70 FPS average, I would say. Oh, we got play of the game. Let's go.
EKA.
80 FPS and play of the game. All right, so let's call it what, 70 FPS average? Oh, let's go. Oh my god, it just bumped us into Garrison. All right, here we go. All right, so last time we had like a 70 FPS average. Now we're steady on top of 100. Let me zoom into here. 80, and we're bouncing. It's from 80 to 90 here. And the other one was 60 to 70-ish. This is pretty good.
Hostile care package inbound.
So yeah, I'd say like maybe we're getting like 20 FPS more on average. Ooh, I saved you while I was stunned, teammate, right? That I think it makes us best friends. How did that not hit? People keep stunning me. Same guy, I think.
Clean shot. Mine neutralized.
You see, this part is the most demanding, I would say, and it's dipping down to like 80 something. So let's say, I would say like 15, let's say 15 FPS more on average. I am on fire. In the literal sense of the word. I don't even know how I survived that. Hey, we got an attack helicopter. Nice. Fly, my helicopter.
Attack helicopter overhead.
You see 110? Yeah. Let's say I think it is fair to say that it's a 20 FPS increase with the overclocking. But that depends on your card and on your overclocking profile and what works for your specific card. It's a matter of luck, honestly. So I think the point is, like, if you can just overclock your card as much as you can without, you know, while being stable. And I mean, just enjoy it. It's a really good card, man. Like, this is a game that just came out. It's very usable. Now, if you want to play at 144 hertz and have it be smooth, then yes, you want to upgrade. I recommend upgrading from this card. I want to upgrade as well. But if you have it right now, if you don't have an option, if it's not in the budget, yeah, it's still a solid card for gaming. All right, so conclusion, yes, it's going to bottleneck with older cards. It's going to battle with the GTX 1070, but it's still a solid card. It still gives solid performance, and you can still use it with new games as long as you don't want to play at 144 hertz or anything over that. If you can upgrade, I recommend upgrading. If you can't upgrade, I recommend overclocking. All right, everybody, that'll be it for today. Let me know if you guys want me to run any other tests, or if what you thought about the video. Anything you want to say in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys in the next one.